welcome. Take a few minutes just to take a grounding breath and just feel present in your body. And very gently just start to march on the spot, tapping each knee with the opposite hand, just warming up through the hips and through the rest of the body. Maybe just a count of 16 here, just to keep the body nice and prepared for what's about to come. Making sure that your tailbone is underneath your body, stacking your vertebrae and activating your tummy muscles. Just bring one foot out in front of you and gently lift it off the ground. Be careful not to lean back here, and use the top of your thigh, activate it, pulling it in towards your hip to get more stability. If you find this difficult, you can lean in towards the leg rather than leaning back. Do concentrate on using the hip flexor here to lift through the leg. We're going to do 4 on each side, just a little pause at the top and back down. Make sure you're breathing, not to hold your breath. And then resettle yourself back into your starting position. Now we're going to do this again, but this time we're going to lift and hold. So lifting up, hold here, contain your tummy muscles. And coming back down, and we're going to repeat this. So lifting up again, and just resist the urge to let the leg drop. If you dropped it, just have a think. Let's lift it a little bit higher. This is a combination of activating your spine and your tummy and holding your legs up at the same time, so there's a lot to think about. And then straight onto the other side. So let's just lift that leg again and hold. Now my hands are on my tummy because it's just making sure that I know that I'm not leaning backwards and I've got my stomach muscles engaged. Let's lift that again. Nice relaxed features on the face. Try not to strain too much here. And lift, and remember contracting your tummy muscles, keeping your leg nice and high, not leaning back. And then just give them a little rest. With your hands on your hips, we're actually going to just hurdle 3 times out on each leg. Start with this one, and then lifting the knee quite high above the hip bone if we can, making a kind of an arch. Now lifting the knee higher than the hip, containing those tummy muscles again, and pushing that foot out in front of us. Now please just pay attention here not to kick it out nice and low. Knees up high, try and kick it in line with the knee. Now this is going to be quite difficult and you might struggle, but just be very conscious about your torso and your tummy muscles and not leaning back. Just going to have a little kick through. It's just warming up the knees as well. You can start to feel this now. There's quite deep work in the hips. And let's take that onto the other side. So we're just going to kick out in front, not down below, in front, as though your heel is leading the way and pushing something away from you in front of you. Again, keeping the face nice and relaxed, tummy muscles engaged and backs engaged, shoulders are soft. Keep those shoulders nice and soft. Now we're going to repeat the whole process on the other side. So we're going to open the leg and back again. So we're just moving through the hip on the other side this time. Just tapping the toe either side. And very gently lifting up and taking it out, back in, and again. Try and keep that knee higher than the hip if you can, or as high as you possibly can. Now obviously I'm quite flexible and I've got quite a lot of strength here, but even I'm beginning to feel it, so I can understand if it ends up dropping. Just lifting that knee a bit higher if you can. Being very mindful of your nice straight spine and muscles being engaged. Now give yourself a little bit of a wobble. Just shake off any tension in the feet, especially when you're having to balance. I must mention here that if you want a chair, you can always redo this video with a chair for extra support. Now if you can get down into this position, bring your hands down and drop down through your knees. Now what will happen is it may be too much for people, so it might be worth doing a warm-up video before you actually engage in this, just to give you that little fighting chance. But we're going to lie ourselves down. Hips on the ground, body's nice and straight and feet are close up towards the bottom, hands are against the ground. And we're going to squeeze underneath the bottom and push up through the hips. Now imagine your hips are on strings here, dangling from the sky, so the effort is in your bottom and not in your back, so just make sure your back feels nice and relaxed. So we're going to push the hip bones up there, leading the way, and we're going to squeeze underneath the bottom and hold and back down. So let's breathe in as we lift. Let's breathe in and Squeeze and hold. And exhale as we slowly come back down. So there we go again. Squeeze up and hold. Just a little bit longer this time, just challenging yourself each time. If you repeat the video, you can always spend a little bit longer in each pose or giving more repetitions. And then take your feet nice and high, just release your feet and just give your hips a rest. Heels level with your hip bones, palms flat towards the ceiling, and just squeeze your tummy muscles in towards the ground. Make sure there's no gap between you and the mat underneath. So we're just going to hover the leg and bring it back up. So we're going to pause at each stage. So we're going to take it halfway down and hold, squeeze those tummy muscles, push the back into the ground, a little bit more, and then hover off the ground. Making sure the tummy muscles in the hips are engaged and pulling back up. And one more time. So hover, just hold here a little bit longer. Keep the breath moving and down, just a little longer pause. And back down. Resist the back from lifting. Resist the urge to lift the back. Just give it a little rest. And we're going to do that again now on the other side. So remember, keeping the back flat against the ground. Bringing the leg halfway. Now I've put my hands on my hips here to demonstrate that just keep the hips level on either side. Try not to rock the hips if you can help it. And all the way down. So move of 3. So it's up. And then it's halfway. Squeeze the tummy, hold yourself here. Then the next way. And then hovering off the ground. And let's do this just for a little bit longer. So let's hold here, keep the breath moving, just hold, just pause for a little bit longer, a little bit more, and then lower and hover, and then give yourself a little hug again. That's it, just releasing the spine, just letting the tummy muscles rest. Just bring the knees away from the hips, so not on top of the hips, but actually away from the body. This is going to challenge you a bit more. So if it is too much, you can stack the knees on top of your hips, but we're just going to lower one leg and keep one knee hovering. Now just try and think about those knees moving away from the hips, and try not to let the lumbar region of the spine lift from the mat. So we're pulling the belly button in towards the spine for support. It might be worth imagining you're wearing a corset here, pulling everything in, pelvic floor working, just holding and hovering. Now, like I said, if it's too much, you can bring the knees a little bit closer towards the torso, in towards the hips. But for that extra challenge, just take the knees a little bit further away from the hips. And then bring your knees in and release. Well done. Just let your knees have a little rock from side to side. This is going to release the hips, but also going to release all of the spine and all the way through the tummy muscles where you've just put the effort in. So just nice and gently. Nice soft shoulders, let them be heavy. There we go. Well done. You did a really great job. Breathe.